win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is a sin. Ascend in word, bending birds, birth in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the presence of pain. So long, better catch a God form to sing. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.
Hello.
How you there?
Seems like forever since yesterday.
I know. It's only been hours since we were right here in these chairs. Oh,
absolutely.
That was a song. I was going to go to the whole, oh, baby.
Hey.
You know what I'm just saying.
I love it. I'm excited. I know this has been a long time coming for this conversation because it's been a lifelong of kind of waiting for the apologies that we think we're owed or that we may be owed. And then some that we may never get. I've been on the receiving side of both, I think, in my life, but more on the side of not receiving the apology that I think I deserved and then moving, going forward as if I already gotten it because I'm not going to allow that to hold me back. But recently you had an experience where you'd been waiting, if you will. You'd been waiting for the opportunity to have some conversations. And one of them happened where you actually received an apology that you were owed. And so in our planning strategy conversations, which is just everyday Knight&Craig talk, right? You were sharing like you didn't really know how to respond to that. So we thought we would bring this conversation to this platform. And I'm sure we're not alone. You're not alone. And just kind of talk through it. So apology accepted. Now what? Right?
Right. And so I don't know. I still don't know really how to proceed in a lot of cases because everything seems like it feels like a tactical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not from the other person or people standpoint, right? It's more for me because the onus is on me now for how to govern how I respond.
Mm.
And I don't think of it as they're looking for something different. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I can't worry about what other people think or want or tell. We've talked about that several times in this show. We can't care what anybody else thinks. It's within us. So when it comes to responding to the person, seeing him in public, whether I see him in my house or outside or text messages or phone calls that come across, there's a natural part of me that just wants to whatever and not respond or respond a certain way. And I'm like, no, you can't, because the agreement was, you gave your word that you would change, that you would do this, and hearing the other person's side, and we're going to make some intentions to change. And it goes back to, I guess, get really right down to it and get deep early, right? Those who believe, those who read the Bible, and the scripture says we take captive, when we must take captive every thought that sets itself up against the knowledge of Christ. Right?
That's a good one.
So if we know, we hear those thoughts, we think those thoughts that are not like God, that are not the way, and that are just totally against who we're supposed to be. And it's like, well, damn, now what? I mean, that's what that looks like in real life. Somebody did me a certain way, not just one person, so I don't want anybody to think it's just one. It was a couple people, right?
Yeah.
And we got a chance to talk through what the issue was, right? And so when it's out there, you can't just, I mean, you got to go back and clean up the mess, right? There's shrapnel out there, and there's blood, sweat, and tears all over the floor. There's junk now. It's in the room. And we have to deal with it. You can't keep walking over dirt and glass in your house because people continue to get hurt. You got to clean this stuff up. And in cleaning up the mess, it's not just shuffling it away and so it didn't, like it never existed.
Right.
That happened. Both people are going to have a memory. So each time I have interaction now with these people, I'm asking myself, okay, how are you going to respond? You can't respond like you used to. It's
Mm-hmm.
not just okie doke. It's not just, oh, well, to hell with them. Now it's you said what you said. They said what they said. We both agreed to be better than we said and did. So what?
Yeah.
And shall I think on the for real,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of parts of me that just don't like it because I had more than 66 days to create that habit.
Mm.
So I feel like I know how I want to. It got used to feeling for so long, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got so accustomed to being angry or feeling some kind of way. I got used to being in my feels because, oh, they don't care for me or how they spoke to me or whatever. I'm who I was and they don't know me and whatever. So now I'm on this next 66-day journey to create a new habit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not always comfortable. I'm going to say that for sure.
Yeah. My brain was going in so many places, you know how I am.
Mhm.
And uh, where I was thinking of different situations in my own life, and if I'd ever been in the situation that you're in, and I have, and it was recent, and I remember having the conversation with someone. I wasn't in error this time. I was
Mhm.
not in error this time, and someone had an issue with me based
Mhm.
on something that I said, and even in the conversation, I said, I don't mean anything. If I'm being offensive or if you're taking it this way, let me share with you my voice and my tone. Let you feel me where I'm coming from because I'm not against you. I actually understand what you're saying, but we're here.
Yeah.
And so that conversation in that moment ended, and I thought ended on a good note. The four of us that were in the conversation were totally fine. And then next thing I know, I'm getting a call from some, a family member, and they're like, "Oh, what happened? Da 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 da. This person came to me and said this, and they're mad at you." And I'm like, "Wait, hold up, hold up. I thought we had an understanding." So I called that person, similarly to what you're saying. I called that person up, the person who had offense with me. I'm trying to do what the Bible says. If you think your brother has out against you, go to them. And so I went to the person and I was like, "Hey, this is what I heard. I thought this is what we agreed upon, right? And how did we get here? And this is not the first time. So this was a two-time offender. So now I'm thinking in the first time we're good because we had this conversation. Now it's happening again, and I'm like, wait, okay, this cannot be real because I had made the decision to change my behavior. I made the decision to not go out of my way, but to be intentional with speaking because I'm known. Apparently some people think I'm not friendly because I don't engage the same with everybody. And okay, that's fine. That's my choice. And again, I don't have anything against you, but I'm very careful about who I allow in my space, especially in the season. So long story short, we had the second conversation and thought we were good. Third conversation came along and it was literally the person simply apologizing.
Mm.
That was it. The third conversation was them coming and saying, "I'm so sorry that I don't even know how we got here." And that was like the breath of fresh air that I could not go back to being myself, but that it was okay for me to have set the boundaries in place, to set that intentionality in order to move forward in the way that I was in agreement with myself
Yeah.
that I was going to behave toward them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to establish a new agreement with myself because I was feeling similar. Maybe you didn't say this, but this is my understanding. Is like I was feeling like I couldn't trust them because I trusted you once, I trusted you twice,
Yeah.
and so now shame on me if I go in, eyes wide open into this situation again. But I had to realize I'm still not responsible for the other person. I'm responsible, in your words, for the agreement that I'm committing to.
Yeah.
And that agreement for me to be different with you hopefully will cause me to say now to that person, if something is weird in my situation, something is weird or off, I now have the relationship leverage in this new relationship that I've established with you to speak up and say, "Hey, that didn't feel right," and if something else comes up again. So I think it's a part of it is, how do you want to be going forward, and being really clear about that. And how do you want to be going forward?
But the thing that's tough is, I think I'm binge watching right now a show called The Preacher on Netflix.
Oh yeah, how is that? I was thinking about watching it.
It is bizarre at best.
Okay.
And I'm in the process of writing a couple of scripts, and it's funny to even say it out loud. I haven't shared that with a lot of people, right? But so I'm doing a lot of research.
Now you just shared it with the world.
Yeah, I just shared it with the world.
So now you got to do it.
Yeah. And so I'm doing some research. So this series is intriguing enough to have my mind set on what in the world is going on, and I think in that frame of mind, how did I say it? I lost what I was going to say, but my concern about even bringing up The Preacher, right? There's so many different aspects of what we deal with in real life, and we're going on, and what people think about who we are, and perceptions about who we are, and how we feel about who we are, that we need to do better. And there was one scene, there's one scene in the movie where the preacher herself was sitting in a cafe, and his ex-girlfriend, she barges in, she sits down, she makes a spectacle, she wants to embarrass him and get him, basically outed by the church as being a bad guy, and make him have no choice but to come back because he got no church now. And he didn't buy into it, because she told a really embarrassing story about something he had done when they were together. And some people actually have begun to kind of leave the table and walk out embarrassed and whatever and mad at him. And he said, before you leave, you didn't understand, I've done some bad things. So he stepped up and owned it.
Yeah.
And that immediately caught the people off guard that felt some kind of way, and they sat out again and listened to him finish. And he's continued talking to the lady. He never changed his disposition. He never got out of pocket. He says, I've done some things that are really not right, but I've changed.
Yeah.
And everybody really at their core really wants to do better. And if I can do better and be better, you can be better too. Isn't that really what you want? And she was stuck. She just said, at that point, now you're in a room. In that case, it was like, I don't know, 15, 20 people or so. And you're asked, don't you really want to be better?
Yeah.
And she had no answer, because I believe we really want to be better. But to your question, how do you, and why do your actions not mirror them? So when someone, in my case, when you said that you felt, oh yeah, I could feel like I could breathe, I could exhale, the weight was lifted.
That ownership, it was the ownership. I didn't use that word, but it was her ownership of the situation. So it was like, okay, I am being who I want to be. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, that's good, because in my case, I didn't have the weight lifted. I didn't feel like I can exhale, like, oh yeah, finally I told you. I didn't have that. And that was a concern to me, because I was thinking, well, maybe I'd already forgiven the person, so the weight was already lifted, and maybe I had moved on.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was still weighting myself down with my own, maybe my own anger on still wanting to be upset and can't be or shouldn't be, because we've already worked through and walked through the issue.
Yeah.
That's tough, because when you're accustomed, if you're a smoker or a drinker, or if you're addicted to caffeine or sugar, and you take those things from your body, from your diet, your body's going to rebel. It's going to give you that headache. You're going to be a little irritable. You're going to have a little something. But over time, those feelings of addiction are going to fade. So maybe I'm searching for the fact that maybe I was addicted to the feeling of some kind of way. I don't want to be addicted to my feelings.
Yeah.
Did that make sense?
Yeah. It's an interesting point, because it's like, being addicted to your feelings or to your emotions is validating. It's like, I have a right to feel this way. And now
Right.
that the right has been taken away from you and you're
Right.
really at choice, right? You you want to, when we were talking in one of our shows about smoking and addiction, and I was sharing with you what that doctor was saying about like replacing the behavior. So if you're a smoker and you need smoking cessation classes, sometimes it's about having something in your mouth, or the chewing. And so that's why they do the gum, why they have the Nicorette gum or whatever brand, because you got to replace that sensation with something. And so now you're in a space where the anger, the your right to be angry has
Yeah.
been taken away. So what are you going to replace that with? And that's the thing. If you replace it with another equally addicting, terrorizing,
Yeah.
unhealthy thing,
Yeah.
then you really, that's growth in a different way. Not in the most positive way. So it's the search of, what do I replace that with, such that I am moving in the direction of this new person, and commitment to the new relationship that you're interested in building. And you're right, Craig. That is hard, because it is a new relationship, but with prior knowledge.
Right. That part.
It's choosing to date the former. I
Yeah.
almost said president, and that would still be accurate, but I'm not political right now. I'm not doing that. Don't make me do that.
This will
Be
air
like
in November.
dating, you know. Oh, I'm gonna say it like this. I know of a person. He and his brother messed around with the same girl,
At the same time.
and yes,
Not
they
in
were.
the instant. They were.
Yes,
Oh,
all of it. Same time period, same space, same
that,
room.
wow.
They were wilding, and they admitted that.
Wow.
One of the brothers ended up marrying her, and they've been married longer than the other person has been married, probably 2 or 3 times over. So it's you. How do you have this prior knowledge of this person that you're choosing to engage with differently,
Yeah.
because you believe that not only have you changed, but they have changed.
Right. Right.
So choosing to date the adulterer, choosing to date the former prostitute, choosing to date the former addict, but the change is in the behavior, which means you can no longer treat them the way that you were treating them either, because your change is in your behavior.
Yeah. That
So
part.
it's choosing to engage with them in your new space and their new space. And again, I'm not saying that's easy. I'm saying that in order for you to have a healthy relationship with self and be true to the relationship in its new state, that's a new commitment.
So the choosing change is really what you're asking to do, and we have to do. And it's hard, like you said, and it takes time and it takes repetition, and we can't give up, because it's easy to give up anywhere between now and the 66-day point, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to get in that back in the habit of making my bed on it when I get out of the bed, make it and keep it moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, no big deal. I may come back and take a nap, but if I choose to turn down the bed and get in the bed and take a nap, great. Or sleep on top of the covers, great. But my goal, I want to at least make the bed, because the room immediately feels like it's clean or presentable if the bed's made. I can still have junk on the floor or whatever, and you go, I need to pick those up. But at least the bed's made, the laundry's folded. Okay, it's makes the day feel a little bit more like it's moving on the right path.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll miss a day. People say, well, it's still part of, as long as you make 66. No, you got to get 66 day in a row, Chief. You know what I'm saying? You've got to get there. Otherwise, you got to reset those pathways. Your brain has got to go, nope, sorry, I'm back to day one. Like those, we've used a lot of alcohol and Alcoholics Anonymous, the 12-step or
Mm-hmm.
step process. And forgive me if I didn't say if it's 12, 15, 18, 7, whatever the step, it's the steps there. If you miss a step, you mess up, you go back to the day one. You turn in your coin, turn in your chip, and you get the day one chip and start over. And I think that's where we've got to be able to give ourselves grace there and continue to choose change for that moment. It's not a not a cumulative process.
Oh, cumulative. Yeah.
Cumulative. Sorry, I didn't
Mhm.
choose change over 20 years and I'm good. Well, we now we can't get to 20 until we get to 1, until we get to 66 in a row. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the key though. It just hit me. It just hit me when you're talking about the 12-step process
Yeah.
and to turn in that chip, that's accountability.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
out here with no accountability. You have to hold yourself accountable to
Right.
know what you did or didn't do on day 15 that kept you from getting to 66 and going back to 1.
Sure.
Right. And so now I can, we can form an accountability partnership. We kind of do that with other things.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you're accountable for you. And the thing is that when we miss that mark,
Yeah.
we're not giving ourselves grace. We're, oh, I'm so stupid, I'm dumb. Da, 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 da. We go into the spiral, the downward spiral of all the negative self-talk. And then all that does is pushes us further away from getting back on that horse.
Yeah.
From getting back into that relationship, from getting back into what your commitment was.
Yeah.
Or is.
Yeah.
Accountability.
And that's really what's tough, because we don't hold ourselves, a lot of us don't hold ourselves accountable to anything. Diets, I don't know, even work on our jobs, we don't do all the work we're supposed to. There's a corner cut here, corner cut there. Being a parent, we don't necessarily do everything that we need to do for our children, for ourselves. And what does that look like? And who's actually holding us accountable? There's no drill sergeant that are standing going, drop and give me 20, soldier. Well, we have to be that major pain in our life to
You
cause
maggot.
exactly, you know what I'm saying, to cause us to change, because our thirst will make us drink. It'll cause us to act and change our behavior, right? If we're not thirsty enough, we won't drink. If we're not thirsty enough for that change to be better people, and if we're just satisfied in who we are and what we are, and then bump it, then it is what it is. Let's just go. And I think that's where the scary part for me is. When I know what the mark is, when I know what should be done, and I lose all disregard for it, whether I cross that line or not, that is the issue with myself and my judgment. Is we do things probably every moment almost of every day that's contrary to what God would want for us. Some bigger, some smaller. But in doing so, that still takes choice to choose to continue to step over those lines. Some of the lines we step over are great lines, and some of the lines we step over are small lines. But it just becomes, what do we feel about every time we cross it? Do we lose interest or conviction for what we're stepping over? Or does it matter? Or does it hurt us and make us think, ooh, I shouldn't do that anymore? Let me not do that. I think that's really what the key is.
I think sometimes we make excuses for why we step over or don't, good or bad, right? We make excuses to say, it's okay to steal if you're hungry.
Sure.
But it's not okay to steal because I want steak versus pork chop.
Yeah.
But stealing is the issue.
It's the issue. Yeah.
So when it comes to forgiveness and choosing to change, that logic is still in place. Yeah. Well, I'm in relationship with you because I'm in new relationship with you based on these 3 or 4 things that I agree with that you apologize for. Sure. But I'm going to hold on to the 4th thing because I don't really feel like you're sincere. I don't really. So I'm going to hold on to that. I'm just going to hold on to that, and that's leverage, and that is not honest. Yeah. That is not a pure intent, because I'm holding this with the intent that Soon as I see this thing show up because I didn't let it go,
Yeah.
I'm gonna knock you over the head with it.
Right.
I'm gonna criticize you. I'm gonna excommunicate you because I have that power.
Yeah.
But but when people do that to us, we're like, but I changed. What do you
Right.
mean?
Right.
Why are you treating me like this?
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is we don't it's our job to either accept the apology or not.
Correct.
Because if we're going with positive intent and the person apologizes and their behavior has changed and we're still treating them differently, like you were saying, that's on me. But we still have to choose to see them through that new lens and not hold them hostage with what they did. If they're saying that they changed, we have to accept it as face value. The apology is the apology. And we're going to accept it all or nothing, because if we accept only a portion of it, then we're still operating under the old agreement.
Right. And that's the thing, because even in contract law, and I'm not a lawyer, once you can take the same old contract and just make an addendum to it, and that will change the verbiage of whatever that addendum changes. So
Right.
I can no longer go to the court and say, hey, they owe me this for this reason and blah, 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 blah. And the court gets to the back and there's an addendum attached and says, well, no, Mr. Carlisle, that addendum that's on the back here says that this verbiage for this section of the contract is now these terms that you agreed to. I'm in the process of selling a car to a person out of state. The gentleman sends me a bill of sale that he wants me to, sign, have notarized, and send back. Technically, the bill of sale really isn't really valid, right? It isn't. Shouldn't I say valid? We cancel this word. It's not necessary. All he really needs is for me to sign at the appropriate time the back of the title, which is the title of the car, actually right here, right? He needs me to sign the section on the back, right?
Right.
And put his information in as to who I am selling it to, and I sign it. I'm good. I've released liability of that title for that car. The bill of sale is just an additional piece of information that that would protect both of us should something happen. And the bill of sale he sent me, it didn't have any real, verbiage to it other than the fact his name, my name, and the amount, the VIN number for me to fill in, blah, blah, blah. I chose to add verbiage in there that says this is an as is sale. This car will be so in the way that it's sitting right now. I didn't agree to make any changes. I didn't agree for anything. I told you it was running. It was running, because I wanted to basically be to protect myself. If nothing else, the car arrives in his state. Let's say it's smashed up beyond belief. Somebody had a problem on the truck, or maybe he gets off the truck and it doesn't start. That's not my problem, because when I signed off to you, it is the way it was. It was working when it left my possession. It did what I told you it did. To the best of my ability, this is what it did.
Yes.
I didn't want it to receive it 10 days, 15 days later, 2 days later, all of a sudden the engine blow up. Hey, you didn't tell me something wrong with the engine. To my knowledge, there ain't nothing wrong with the engine.
Right.
I drive it. I've stopped driving it because I want the sale to go through in case what if I have an accident now and I ruin the sale? That car ain't leaving my driveway.
Right.
It's not even insured anymore because I'm selling. It's in the process.
Right. One thing, do you have AAA?
Yeah.
So I would recommend going to AAA and talking to them about the sale, because state to state, and because you want to be sure that person puts the car in their name, not just based on that paper that it's no longer yours. Because we had an experience where we sold a van, and the guy came. I had his driver's license. We had that, the title, signed over everything, and he was supposed to within so many days go to the DMV and get it put in his name. Well, before he did that, he got arrested for a DUI. And they went to one of my family members' homes who we bought the truck from, because we were selling it on behalf of the family. We were selling it as a family. So our name was on there as a signer, but the actual car, the truck was registered in in my brother's name. The police showed up at my brother's house. Do you know this person? No, I don't know that person. Because the day my brother knew we were selling it, so that was legit. But the days leading up to it, where we're supposed to change ownership, the hands of that, didn't happen. So we didn't go back to my brother and say, "Hey, it's final," because we were waiting for that piece.
Sure.
But we had been calling him. So the police, fortunately, it was clear that we had followed the rules. But had we not gone to AAA or put that statement in there stipulating how much time between the date of the sale of the car and you needing to register it in your state,
Sure.
we could have somehow been held liable according to the police officer.
Wow.
So just
Check on
stop.
that. I'm gonna do something about that because I don't want to have a problem. And I'm praying that we don't have something similar. No one has.
You probably won't. You probably won't. But just so you can protect yourself. And I know what a big deal it is to even be in this process to do it. And so we're talking about accountability, and being accountable for ourselves. So whatever you can do to ensure that you've done everything that you need to do, that's the most important thing, because whatever he does, you just don't want to have the consequences of that.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of things too, as we're talking about getting that apology and doing things in life. We have to set those guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
And if we don't set those guardrails around ourselves, around friendships, and not to keep people at arm's length, right? But we've talked about boundaries in past shows several times.
Yeah,
we've got to set boundaries around ourselves, and even if maybe it's a close boundary, maybe sometimes the boundary is like our shirt. We don't run around naked. Right.
Now,
so some of us have opportunities that we aren't naked, right?
Come on.
And
kids
sometimes
ain't as kids at school, at grandma. Well, not at grandma's house.
Wow, not kids at school being naked. They don't want them to be naked at school.
No, I'm saying, you said when people have an opportunity to be naked. I'm at home alone. I'm clothed on this thing, right? But there are people during the pandemic that, they had a shirt on the top and then they get up to go get coffee. You're like, whoa.
Yeah.
As my sister used to say, I see your ha ha ha.
Yeah. And you don't want that problem on a video because them things is recording like we recording right now. You know what I'm saying? Ooh.
I'm fully clothed, y'all. I can stand up. But yeah, the opportunity, it's hot. It's gonna be, listen, at 8:00 this morning, it was 86 degrees. It's gonna be 105 degrees. You think we just gonna be walking around? I told my husband, I said, we going back to Adam and Eve days. It's hot.
Yeah.
And at least lock the door because it's hot.
Yeah. No, I ain't messing around. But no, and I don't want to have those problems in relationships either. Yeah. Where I'm the one causing the heat.
Absolutely.
Unjustly. And I don't want that, Shell. And I think that's another reason why it's tough to, when you get the apologies or have the conversation that you didn't realize that you really wanted, or maybe you did really want, but now that you get it, it's like, how do you deal with it? So I think a lot of us who've done it, I don't want to walk on eggshells around the person, and I don't want to be disingenuous. And I eventually, at one point, I want to be the me that I'm always wanted me to be around that person. And I think you just have to continue to walk that out, because both parties now are going to have to realize, there's something new. That person is now new because we had an uncomfortable conversation. Now I got to learn who that person is. Yeah. And they got to learn who I am. Yeah. And that's a key to a lot of things. And if you really care, and I think maybe that's even part of it too, maybe because if we got our feelings hurt and we're sad because that person is some kind of way, it becomes a problem.
I'm wondering, do you feel how, I want to ask this in a coaching way, but I think it is a yes or no question. Did you accept the apology? Do you feel that you accepted the apology?
I believe I did say those words. I thanked them for I should say that. I thanked them, one person, for their apology. The other conversation wasn't really an apology. The other conversation was just a difficult conversation that we both needed to have. And both said the things that I believe needed to be said. If that makes sense. And so it's just a matter now of, accepted fully or not properly, right? We have to do something. I have to do something about my part, because in my mind, I received it.
Got it.
So now that we received it, and both conversations, I'm now responsible for my actions.
Yes. So follow me here. You answered an emotional question with a logical answer. I said, how, did you feel? And you said, I accepted it in my mind. That's one. Two, you mentioned that the one who actually apologized, you didn't feel light, and you realized like maybe there's still something undercurrent there.
Mm.
But the one where you had the difficult conversation, how did you feel differently?
In both situations, and I'm going back to the situation, I felt, I think in both cases, I want to say they were almost like polar opposite situations.
Mm-hmm.
But in both cases, I was intent on making sure my point was clear.
Got it. Mm-hmm.
Apologizing for the things that I knew I had done wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Apologizing for the things that they said that I had done that was wrong.
Stop right there. So that was them saying this is the way that they perceived you,
How I made them feel.
Got it. Okay.
So I apologize for that, because it was not the intent, right?
Yes. Okay.
But I can't say in either situation where in times past I would have been either the F you, I told you so guy, get the heck out of my face.
Mm-hmm.
Or I would have been in tears talking about, oh, I'm so sorry this has happened to us. Let's be better. Let's correct it. Oh, so can we all get along?
Mm-hmm.
And that too became somewhat of a question mark for myself. I'm like, I had no tears for either one of these situations.
I remember you saying that. Yeah.
That was, is that a red flag moment for me or no? Or is it a growth moment for me or no? And I've been really checking myself and examining and asking, okay, what is the issue here? Is it a bad thing to cry or not cry? Is it a yes, no? I don't think it's good, bad, or different. I think the intent is really what I have. Am I still carrying a loaded gun pointed at them with the safety off? Or am I actually feeling like I can, like with Tim, like we would talk to Steve, permission to speak freely, sir. Just feel like I can be who I am. And I think in both cases, I'm extremely guarded around them. And I definitely filter my words because I want to make sure that I'm clear. Not clear just to them, but I got to make sure I'm clear with me, because my words mean a lot to me. I want to make sure that I understand what I feel and what I want. And two, that I'm actually saying and acting out those clear thought and intentions. Because there's oftentimes we say one thing, talking about, like, is it Gap Band or Cameo say, "Oh, you're talking out the side of your neck," right? When in reality, you're living and behaving something totally different than what you just said. And I never want to be a liar, and I definitely don't like to be disingenuous about who I am. I always want people to know if Craig said it, that's what he's going to do. If Craig said it, what it means, good, bad, or indifferent.
And maybe that's what you're processing, is your authenticity, your genuine acceptance, or your genuine desire to be in a relationship with those guys at all.
And I believe you're totally right. I think a lot of the learning that I'm doing in my life has always been full of change and learning. We've, the whole time we've been doing this show, and then, the shows I've done in the past.
Those shows don't matter.
Those don't matter? Oh, wow.
Raising Men matters, but
I appreciate you. It's this growth thing. And I think there's a part of me that has shifted growth wise, where there's a part of me that I didn't know. That's, I guess, where the poem I wrote, right? Is a part of the me that I didn't know
Yes.
that I've always wanted me to be, that I didn't know I could be until now, that trying to be that. And that I'm learning that I can hold a stance. I can hold a position for a person in my life and it be okay. And whether that position is close to me or very far from me or somewhere in between, and it be okay. The old Craig would have felt some kind of way about a person who I wanted to desperately hold so close.
Yeah.
But now I find that they really need to be where they really want to be, which is very far away. And it used to bother me. But I'm in a position right now where I really don't care. And when I say don't care, because Sandy used to get on me, but don't say you don't care. That's not, I don't like when you say you don't care. I'm like, but it's the truth. I don't care which position you choose to place yourself in.
Right.
I have to believe you that that's the position you want to be in. And I have to be okay and adjust my perspective and say, this person really wants to stand that far away from me. Okay, I believe you. That's okay. And now I adjust and keep moving. And don't feel some kind of way about it, and still be genuine in how I deal with them every time I see them. That's what I'm learning right now in this aspect of my life, to take who a person is for real through their actions and their words, believe them, and be okay with it and act accordingly. So then they're believing, I have to believe it and act accordingly. So that's what I'm finding that I'm learning to do, and I'm finding I'm becoming good at it.
I'm gonna put this up. This is what I was typing. So, and show. I know that's a lot. Intention matters because it impacts the acceptance and the success of the relationship. Right. Because what I hear underneath what you're saying, everything that you're saying makes sense. If a person wants to be in that position, that's the position they want to be in. Auntie Angelo says, when a person shows you who they are, believe them, right? And as hard as that may be because of my expectations or my previous relationship or my desire for me and you together, that's just not possible if that's the position that you're in and I'm not willing to meet you there, or you're not willing to meet me where I am. Going back to choosing change or a choice or what have you, right? The intention. The other part that I hear is there has to be clarity on that position, because it's easy for me to assume, real easy for me to assume, if you don't behave the way that I think you should behave, that you don't, that's the position you're putting yourself in, because that's the position I'm putting myself in, this position. Yeah. Away from you. So I think the Bible is right when it says in all you're getting, get an understanding, because I might be assuming that you're putting yourself over there, but really it's me not accepting that that's where you want to be. And then I have to readjust and prioritize and if I'm planning on being in a relationship with you. So we're also talking about not just the forgiveness portion, but we're talking about reconciliation. That's a different word right there. We're talking about the reconciliation of a relationship. So we've talked about what it looks like to live without the apology and I'm doing me and all the great things that we do very well, or these are the boundaries that I've set because I forgive you. And I don't like I forgive you, but I'm not going to forget. The body keeps that score. We don't need to even say that. It's obvious we're not going to forget. There are some things that I have forgotten in my past because I have chosen to block those things out. And when they come up, meaning in conversation, or I see someone from my past, and they knew me during that very dark period of time when I was transitioning relationships and being lied to, cheated on, stole from, and I was doing my whatever. That's a song. I have to go, when I see them, I have to go, oh, and they bring something out. I'm going, okay, one gauge is, was I in college? Another gauge is, Not was I married, but did I have Taylor, my first son? Because that's a very different way for me to acknowledge. And then, okay, did I have Taylor and Lawrence? Or did I just have Taylor? Was Alexis with me? Or wait, let me think about that. Because I've chosen to block those things out. But my point was is that to reconcile with myself and to have the clear understanding of what this relationship, this old relationship that is now new, because you have to learn them again.
Yeah.
It's like day one.
Yeah.
And how do you engage in those conversations, right? It's literally, well, tell me what's been going on with you for the last whatever, since you last knew them or since you last engaged. And some people, they might find that as off-putting. Like, boy, you know me, quit playing. No, but you don't know me.
Right. But the truth is we don't know either one of us, because we allow ourselves to take the fact that, oh, Houdini saw Friends, how many of us have them? You know what I'm saying? But I used to live from the adage of once a friend, always friend. But that's a lie. That is a lie, because there are people that surely improve themselves unfriendly and improve themselves to be unfriend worthy. So you have to do like on social media sometimes and unfriend people, the Facebook people. So
I did that recently. Yeah.
And in so many cases, there's a lot of folk we need to unfollow on the Instagram side, TikTok world. You got to stop following these people and Snap, whatever y'all doing. You got to stop following people, and you have to look at what their behavior really is and make sure that lines up with who you are. Because life is not just about the entertainment value. Life it's serious about it out here in these streets. If we're doing the things that are going to take us down a wrong path in our mindset, in our behavior, and our speech pattern, and whatever we're going to do, it matters. It is really serious out here. And if we don't do something to change, to be intentional and get to where we're going, we're never going to get there. Candidly, medically, I need to do something better with my weight. Otherwise, there's a consequence for me continuing to have a poor diet. So I'm not going to lose weight as fast as I need to just by laying on the couch or laying on my bed or sitting in this chair. And not getting the exercise I need. Yeah, granted, I can definitely eat less than 1,300 calories a day, lay on the couch, lay in this chair, but I may lose a pound every month or two. But if I've got a bigger goal, right, 10, 12, 15, but whatever the goal may be, I'm gonna have to put in some work. Right. I've got to move something. Right. And I was just talking to Sean Brown, one of our previous guests, just last night. She was like, what if we believed right now that things were going to get better? And I said, yeah, we can believe. Yes, that's all wonderful. And I had to put the but that canceled out everything else she just said. And I apologize for that, but it's the truth. Maybe just use an and. Yes.
The and. Yeah.
So we can believe that things are going to change, and we have to put in the work. So if we want projects to get together, records to get produced and recorded, and they got to get written. I mean, you got to get up, you got to write the music, then you have to get a practice, and then you got to get in the booth and record. Then they got to be mixed, and then they got to be mastered, and then they got to be registered with the proper publishing company, and then they got to be released to the proper places so the world can hear them. If I want scripts to be done, same thing. Words have to be put to script paper, electronic or paper. You got to finish it. You got to get them registered and copyrighted, so it can't or shouldn't be. You don't have to, but you should. So your work doesn't get stolen.
Right.
Then it can't stay locked away in a digital vault.
Right.
I've got a film we wrote almost more than 2 years ago now. Finished. Sitting in a digital vault, we have done zero with it.
Why?
I'm going to say fear on my part, fear of success, right? For the other person's fault, I can't say what their reasoning is.
Yeah, no worries.
Because I believe it's a quality film. Is it an Academy Award winner? No, but I believe it's a quality film. If you shoot it well to represent it, it'd be a quality holiday film. I believe in both cases. Now, can I do something without that person? Shouldn't, because they're co-writer. We need to do something. But in both cases, could I have gone and bugged that person until we did it? Yeah, I could have. Will I? Yeah, I need to. Let me finish the ones I'm working on right now to get that priority done. But the issue, the point is, to your why question, why don't we do something about us? Why don't we do something about our relationships? Why don't we do something about our bodies? Why don't we do something about our life? Why don't we do something other than complaining about the nothing that's happening because we ain't doing nothing? And in so many cases, I want to tell, because I basically keep telling myself, colorfully, shut the hell up, because you're not going to do something. If you're going to do something, get the hell up. So there's only two choices you have. You're either going to get up or you're going to shut up. So, and you can't get mad at anybody but yourself when the things don't pan out and become what you always fantasizingly imagine them to be. I can have a dream home if I want to in my mind, but it's really a fantasy home if I don't do any work to get there.
Right.
The dream home becomes a dream home and a reality home, forever home, if I put the work in while I'm awake to get everything put together to purchase or build that home in real life.
Right.
And yeah, I'm up sometimes 4 o'clock in the morning putting in work with the things I do, because there's certain things I want in this life that I'm being allowed to do now without taking from my father and parental roles. Because there's something I can't do because Jackson needs to have his father support him. So in and around those times, I need to be doing what I need to do.
Well, your role changes, right? Sure. Because it's not that your other boys don't need you.
Yeah.
You know, it's they need you differently. And maybe those are conversations too, like for relationships is, you know, me and Big Daddy, we have those kind of conversations sometimes, you know, whether it's, hey, you know, what's going on in your head? Are you, you know, satisfied with everything that's going on for this, that, and the other? Or I've been feeling like this, you know, I was telling you on the phone the other day, when we initially agreed for him to come off of his completely retire from work many years ago. And then I was, not that he doesn't have an income as a veteran, but going to a job every single day and punching a clock and taking orders and doing his health, his mental health, PTSD, all the things was more important than him staying at a job making $20-something an hour for what?
Sure.
At the risk of him having a heart attack, stroke, or, you know, God forbid, something else, you know, that we walk into. So he said, okay, well, let me run the numbers. I'm coming. Okay, you come off your job. This is what I will continue to do. I will continue to work. These are the things allocated. We were talking about gender roles. That's what you and I were talking about. And they don't exist for us. So you do what you have to do. And so point being is that having the conversation around, okay, well, you're going to wash the clothes and you're going to go grocery shopping and you're going to clean, you know, we'll have days for the kids to clean the house or do the dishes or what have you. That was an agreement we made. Yeah. And then next thing I know, the laundry's piled up. I'm like, what the hell? Right? I need clothes. So let's have a conversation. Is this agreement still working for us?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Is there something that we need to modify? Do I need to take on anything else, or do we need to allocate something to the kids? What's keeping you? So that's really what we're talking about, getting to know people where they are.
Sure.
And sometimes those agreements, like you mentioned earlier, there needs to be an amendment or an addendum or something that adds to it, or that takes away from it, that now we're in a new agreement. And when we choose to change, we're choosing to communicate what those changes are, and willing to accept what they are for the other person.
Yeah.
That has to take intentionality and communication on both parts, open and honest, and being in the space, maybe not the same. You're not in the same. You're two different people, but you're agreeing to agree on this space where you are right here. So both have to be present.
And at least I use a sports analogy, right?
Okay.
a lot of men like, not just men, but a lot of folks like sports.
I love sports. I'm not offended. Go ahead.
So on the contract, we find them boys sometimes out there sign a contract, big money, and they complain through and basically crap on their contract and crap on their fans and their team because I don't like the team, I don't like the contract term. What, dude? You signed the contract, so
Right.
play it out. And some guys like to hold out and do things to get their contract breached to get it renegotiated, and then there's a process that you should do to go through that, right? But if you signed it and you knew you signed a bad deal,
yes, excuse me,
that's not the company's problem. That's not the team's fault. You signed it. Play it out. And if you want to renegotiate, there's a process. There's clauses there's verbiage, there's language in there that you can use to renegotiate. So I think that's really the problem. We don't like the term, so we stop playing. And so that's not a good thing. And so I think that's in a lot of cases where I find myself struggling. I didn't like the term of that contract that I just signed. So I'm gonna be mad about it and just not play. That's not a good thing because I'm in breach then.
Yes.
And then the team, the other person, can then hold me accountable and take me back to court and say, hey, this person was in breach of the contract we signed, and there's now damages now that they can levy upon me for being in failure to comply or perform. And I don't want those on me. I don't want to ever be the person that's not caught in the right. And it's not saying I'm perfect, but if I profess to be who I am and live that way, I don't want to be the guy out there having these podcasts and TV shows and radio shows and so on, talking about let's live life this way, let's be better.
Yeah.
And I'm the hypocrite like the other person that they was just talking about on the other show, on the other podcast, that's living the life foul and sideways, professing whomever's little G God that they was professing, right? And then you become another falsehood. And I don't want to ever be that way, Shal. And I think that's the struggle because it's so easy to live life contrary, to live a lie. It's so easy to just, F it, I'm just going to do whatever. I don't have to. Who's going to know?
That's accountability, right? And so
right.
And that's why sometimes we stay longer than we should. We're living mediocre lives. We have all of the dreams, all of the skills, all of the support, all of the everything that we need to be the person that we say we are and that we want to be. But when we're not accountable to us, we're living in that darkness and in the secrets.
Yeah.
We're living in the shadows. I go back to what's the name of that? Inside Out 2.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see it yet?
Yeah, in the theater.
So the vault, those secrets are in the vault.
Yeah.
And again, it doesn't matter how big or small they are. It's when we're not acting in our own integrity, we're not operating in the space that we have the capacity to. Again, it doesn't mean that there's nothing that we've done that we're not exempt from doing things that are wrong. It's what are you doing with those things when you've done wrong? Are you saying sorry? Or is your behavior repentant, meaning you've gone another way, never to return to that? There's been some things I share about myself and my life as an open book because I'm healed from, and I know it's a part. My purpose is a part of helping other people heal, and not that they need to share with the world what they've done as I choose to do. But there are some things that I share intentionally because there were people that were on that journey with me, and I'd be doggone if they share it before I do, because it's about me.
Right.
And I don't need to feel shame for what I've done in the past. I need to own what I've done so I can continue to live free in the present and reach where it is that I need to go because I'm choosing that change. And again, these are uncharted conversations, uncharted territories for many of us. So I really appreciate your vulnerability and my vulnerability also, but this was your gift to our community to bring this up, because a lot of times I think we think, well, I got that apology, so okay, I'll just continue to live in whatever, and we don't I didn't necessarily think about the struggle of accepting an apology and what that means. I know about reconciliation, I know about forgiveness, but to talk through it at this level of what's on the other side of that, I know it's been helpful for me. So thank you for bringing it to the forefront for us today.
Oh, hey, it's no problem. It needs to happen. I'm not the only one.
You're not.
So if you want to continue to follow us, you got to be careful of the IG language out there, because then it changes the algorithm. So they start playing your stuff on Instagram and YouTube and things like that. If you want to join the conversation, tap in. We're on IG and Facebook at Knight&Craig. And also, if you wanted to also send us emails to join to be guests on our show, you can always send us an email at knightandcraigshow@gmail.com. We just had a recording of strategy session just the day before this recording of another guest. So if you look, we have another great guest coming for you, and that recording will be on this coming Monday for airing in a few weeks from now.
Yep.
And that's super exciting. So those, if you want to join this conversation, continue to get involved, send us a message, reach out, like. Why can't we? If you don't like and subscribe, just tap in, join the conversation. Carefully algorithmic conversation. Post that out there too. Is how to say it the right way now on Instagram. So
I love it. And folks, don't feel like you have to have a topic, right? If there's something that we've talked about that you want to join the conversation in, we do recaps all the time. So that's an option. And if you do have a topic, more power to you. We would love to hear that and see how that can work for all of us here on the Knight&Craig show. Thank you. Love you, cousin.
Hey, love you. Love you. See you. Bye.
Bye.
I came to win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is the same. Ascending word, bending verse, birthed in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the precious of waiting so long. You better catch a God, throw him the scenes. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.